Hi guys, Materim here again with another narrative battle report. And this one has the Dwarves of Clan Hammerfell taking on the Warriors of Chaos of the Snowmane tribe in a 2,500 point meeting engagement. For the first time in many years, Prince Doran Oathkeeper found himself feeling hopeful about the future of his clan. The conflict between the Hammerfells and the Odhine was settled for the moment, and now the clans could look towards regaining the lands of the Hammerfell. But first, there were honors to present. The prince looked to the 20 grommel breastplates that stood to the racks at his left. Where Debrin Firstforge had found enough grommel to forge them would be a mystery for another day. But now it was just enough to know that the 20 kinsmen that stood before him had gained the honor of being named Ironbreakers. Dawi of the Hammerfell and the Odhine, we have come together, as have our ancestors, to honor those that have shown bravery and tenacity in the face of our enemies. These warriors, who have long served Clan Hammerfell with distinction, are hereby named Ironbreakers. The crowd of Dawi cheered, clapped, and raised their mugs as the 20 inductees stepped up one by one to receive their new breastplates. Once this was done, Prince Doran looked at the crowd once again. My good Dawi, today we begin to regain that which was taken from us. Our Odhine kinsmen have joined us, and we are stronger for it. Tomorrow we shall march. The Odhine will march in force towards the north to draw the attention of the Snowmane's main force. We shall break off and swing west to begin retaking the ancient trading posts of our fathers. These lands are thick with our enemies, and both forces should expect to encounter heavy resistance. But we are Dawi. We shall push forward and drive the chaos-spawned barbarians from our lands. So the dwarves of Clan Hammerfell moved forth with great intentions. Unfortunately, when we rolled the scenario for this battle, it was meeting engagement. And so you can see we've got a pretty crazy board here, and it seems like the Warriors of Chaos came upon the Clan Hammerfell while they were gathering supplies and were rather unready for this conflict. And when I get to deployment, you'll understand what I mean by that. So we will start with deployment of the Warriors of Chaos on the left-hand side of the board. In the back there, we have a Chimera. In front of them is a unit of 3 Skull Crushers of Khorne, and joined that unit is Angvar, the leader of the Snowmane tribe, Chaos Lord of Khorne on a Juggernaut, with the Sword of Swift Slaying, Charm Shield, Talisman of Preservation, and other Trickster's Shard. Next to that is a unit of 20 Chaos Marauders with full command. Then there's a unit of 25 Chaos Warriors of Khorne with full command, and the Exalted Hero in there is their BSB, and he is carrying the Razor Standard. Next to that is the Sorcerer, level 2 Lore of Metal on Chaos War Shrine. And then on the other side of the river is a unit of 10 Chaos Knights with full command and the Gleaming Pennant. So starting on the Dwarfs' left flank, there is a unit of 10 Thunderers with full command, and a Gyrocopter with Vanguard that has vanguarded up into the middle of the river there. And then the rest of my army is a unit of 20 Ironbreakers with full command, and the champion has a brace of Drakefire pistols. In that unit is Barad Goldfist, my Thane, who is my BSB, and he has the Runic Standard with the Master Rune of Grungy on it. There is also Genny Debrinson, my Runesmith, with the Rune of Stone and the double Rune of Spellbreaking. On top of the Temple of Skulls, there is another 10-man unit of Thunderers with full command, and a Flame Cannon. And you may be looking at this and saying, Materim, this seems like an awfully small army for 2,500 points. And you would be correct. You also may be thinking, Materim, where's your general? Again, excellent point. Well, As you guys should know, at the start of meeting engagement, when you deploy, you have to roll a d6 for each unit and each character. Any ones you roll don't start on the board but come on as reserves. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to my reserve pile. And here is my reserve pile, which is more than 50% of the army by points. The single character is Prince Doran Oathbreaker. He has a runic weapon with a rune of parrying and a rune of striking, runic armor with a rune of fortitude and 2 runes of iron, and a runic talisman with the rune of the furnace. He was supposed to be in the Ironbreakers because he is on an Oathstone. The unit in the red there is my unit of 20 Hammerers with full command. The long unit in the green cloaks is a unit of 21 Quarrelers with great weapons and full command. There is a Grudge Thrower. The blue gyrocopter is the normal gyrocopter, and the red one is a gyrocopter that has Vanguard on it, which is also useless. So I start with less than half of my army on board turn 1. Yeah. So this game is looking pretty freaking terrible from turn 1. All I'm hoping at this point is that he doesn't manage to steal first turn, and at least I can get these guys on the board. But the dwarves are just too slow. They're way out of position. I don't have my characters where I need them. The archers are going to, and the grudge thrower are going to have to move on this turn, miss a turn of firing, and then try and shoot. But with as close as he starts off in this scenario, they're not going to do much. And both of the gyrocopters were supposed to be chaffish and kind of thinning things down, but they're not going to be able to do anything. And then on top of that, I paid 20 points for Vanguard that I absolutely do not get to use, which is beautiful. So I do get first turn, and first thing I do is my one gyrocopter who's there, I move him up between these 2 units. I've got a pretty great shot of that flame template to melt those marauders, so I'm feeling okay about that. But on the other hand, the marauders are really the least scary thing he has on the whole area. So the 2 gyrocopters that were in reserves come on and move up to here, so at least I managed to put him in a place where he's not going to get a charge on him first turn. So I guess that's the best thing I've got going for me. And then here I move up the iron breakers. Not really a great reason why, but I'm thinking he's going to bring those warriors over the bridge. The knights are definitely coming for the flame cannon. I'm thinking maybe if I bring the iron breakers up, they're a lot of points. They might present a better target, and he'll leave the stuff on the hill alone. But that's really kind of my only real gamble here. And on this edge, the only way I've got to put them on the board good at all. So here comes the grudge thrower and the archers, or the quarrelers. And they're useless, at least this turn. Neither of them, being a war machine and a move or fire, are going to get to do anything, and they're just way out of position, given how they had to come in with the scenario. And then my hammerers have to come in, and you have to come in with your back end along the board edge. And so this is the full move I get to just turn them slightly. And they're going to be playing just try and catch up to where the action is going to be all game, and really not all that effective at doing so. So file this under the first thing that goes right for me all game. I do put just a murdering on the marauders with the steam gun and end up taking 6 off the back. So feeling pretty confident about that, but they are marked corn, so they're frenzied and immune to psych, so I'm going to have to kill them to a man, which is frankly kind of difficult to do with a single gyrocopter. Maybe if I can get the others in. So with nothing else going, we go into Warriors of Chaos turn 1. And kind of surprising to me, the knights here do actually take the bait against the iron breakers. So he comes in here, easily gets the charge, and I'm thinking, I like this. That 5-up parry save. These guys got 4 strength. I might be able to put a hurting on him here. However, what I didn't count on was the long bomb charge by his juggernauts into the flank of my thunderers here. And again, this is probably, well, I didn't have an option here because I had to deploy my entire army first, so I didn't realize what he was going to do. But yeah, that was unexpected. He needed 10, I think, and nailed it, so I'm worried very much there. So then he moves up his Chimera so that he's just got a softball charge into the Grudge Thrower next turn, which basically means I'm getting one shot with the Grudge Thrower all game, and it's going to die a horrible freaking death to a Chimera. And you can see in the back there, his Marauders are starting to come around. He doesn't really want to put them in the forest, and I can understand that. Then over here, the Chaos Warriors start coming across the bridge, and the War Shrine turns to look at the Gyrocopter. Not entirely sure why. Really, probably was actually more just to block the back end of these Chaos Warriors, so I can't park the copter there and start French frying them. So, magic was a wash. We go to close combat, and he ends up only killing 5 of the hammerers, and they're not stubborn, and I need to roll a 3 rerollable for them to hold, and they do hold. So if you remember the other battle report, these are actually the same unit of gunners that held off the unit of hammerers that the other dwarf player from Clan Odheim brought to them. So they are really awesome about losing battles and just staying where the hell they are, even without the kind of crazy stubborn standard BS. So over here, the champion of the Knights has to declare a challenge, and my BSB steps up. The BSB takes 1 wound for his trouble, but kills the champion. And the Knights manage to kill, I think that's 4 or 5 more of the Iron Breakers, but I killed 2 more of the Knights in return, which, point for point, I'm still probably up there. Nice thing is, though, we are stubborn and stick, even though I do lose, but they're like 10 rerollable, so they weren't going anywhere. The other thing that's nice is this leaves me a nice flank charge open with the Thunderers up there. The downside about that is, for some reason, I had them confused with my Quarrelers, so I thought they had great weapons, so I thought they would go in and do more than they're going to. But it's still kind of a good tactical option for me, so I was pretty happy with how that ended up. I actually almost convinced myself at this point I might have a shot here. So we go on to Dwarf turn 2, and exactly as I described, the Thunderers easily make their charge into the flank of the Chaos Knights. And even with them not being great weapons, they're still strength 4 on the charge, so I kind of feel okay there. And then over here, the other 2 gyrocopters show up to hopefully continue melting face off of the Marauders here. And the third one flies around the shrine to get a good flame template into the Chaos Warriors that are standing on the bridge. I know it's not a great option because they're pretty heavily armored, but at this point, I've got to thin them down before they come over this bridge. I'm so out of position that if they get over there, I really have nothing that is going to stop them from wiping me off the board. And over here, my hammers continue to march up. On the plus side now, my general is just within range, so even if he kills the BSB, I still have leadership 10 there. So I feel okay about that, but I'm really feeling the pain here. Oh, and you can see I started moving my flame cannon down the hill to make it harder for his warriors to charge them. Over here, during shooting, I melt off 2 of the Chaos Warriors with the steam gun. So on the plus side here too, the 2 gyrocopters liquefied the Marauders, and at least I got some points. At this point, I'm counting that as a minor victory, but I just don't think I have the speed and the maneuverability to overcome how badly this scenario screwed me and the speed of my opponent, so it's rough. And then over here, between the Grudge Thrower and the Quarrelers, I managed to peel off what looks like another 5 from the unit of Chaos Warriors. So I'm thinning it down, just not fast enough to really have an impact. Particularly since the Grudge Thrower is gone next turn at the hands of that Chimera. I am in very much trouble here. And over here, his general obviously kills the last 5 of the Thunderers with very little trouble, and reforms to get a perfect charge here into the Thunderers. Now the only plus side to this is that he is outside of his movement, so my Thunderers will get to stand and shoot. So maybe I can do a couple of wounds, but with that armor I'm not expecting to actually kill anything, just maybe soften him up a little bit. Then over here is what I needed. I think I killed 1 more knight, he killed a couple more dwarves, but with all the static combat res I had, I beat him, and they broke. So I didn't catch him with either unit, but they stop right here blocking the way for the Chaos Warriors to get across anything. So this is good. It'll give me some time to kind of catch my breath, hopefully regroup a little bit, and maybe get something somewhere where I can start moving. So we go to Warriors of Chaos turn 2. And of course he charges. I stand and shoot. I do no wounds, but his general takes a wound from the dangerous terrain of the torrential river. So I can at least feel sort of good about that. But yeah, those Quarrelers are going to die just a horrible, horrible death. And there's nothing I can do to save them. And the Chimera here swoops into the side of the Grudge Thrower with no problem whatsoever. And it's pretty much going to die. And here you see that the Knights rally, turn around and face the Dwarves that chased them off. The Shrine comes over here so it has some better range to the characters for its inbound spell. And the Warriors can't move because they're being blocked in. So I'm kind of happy that I slowed down the center here and at least made it a little more useless. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do here in the center. So he gets the Blades of Albion off on his Juggernauts, which was just what I needed. And close combat, the Chimera actually does not manage to kill the 3 crewmen on the Grudge Thrower. So it's going to take at least another turn for him to do that, which I guess I'm okay with. At least he's not sweeping that Chimera into the Quarreler fight that's about to happen. And the Quarrelers get beat down to the champion being left. I know it looks like a standard bearer, but I don't actually have a champion type model for this yet. But yeah, so the champion is all that's there, and I did nothing to anything, basically. I mean, he was hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s with just so many attacks. He just ate that unit up, and I couldn't do anything about it. So we go into Dwarf turn 3, and I moved the gyro bombers or gyrocopters all up here to try and melt down that Chaos Warrior unit. I know there's a die there that says 2. It actually just means that they're 2 inches forward of where they were. The way this bridge is set up, the gyrocopters kept sliding backwards, so we just put them there and gave a die for the actual measurement. Over here, I left the Thunderers where they are because I wanted to get another set of shots off on the Knights. I backed up the Iron Breakers and brought the Hammers up hoping that next turn I would still be alive to be able to swap characters and get them where they're supposed to be. Also, by moving the Iron Breakers back, it gives me a shot with the Flame Cannon from the top of that hill at the warriors. So, between the Flame Cannon and 3 gyrocopters, I managed to inflict a single wound on the warrior unit. Yeah, I feel absolutely terrible about that. There's really no excuse for that level of lameness. I should have gotten several more than that. And of course, these guys just wipe the board uh, with everything that's over here, and turn around and now face the juicy, juicy flanks of those 2 units, which sucks because this is on my turn, so I'm not going to get a chance to reform before these two, the Chimera and the General's unit, come slamming into me. So bottom of turn 3, which coincidentally after the scenario was rolled, I said I wasn't going to make it 3 turns. So the Chaos Knights slam into the Thunders here. I think I did 1 wound to them during shooting last turn. That's why there's only a rank wide. But they were too close for me to get another shot off, so yeah, they're just going to die, I think. And everything succeeded on its charge. Only plus side here is that another one of his excuse me, another one of his knights, I think, took a dangerous terrain test. So there's one of the well, not knights, the Juggernaut Rider guys, is sitting on 1 wound, or having taken 1 wound, which isn't bad, but hammers in the flank are just not a fun thing. And he moves up his champion, or not his champion, his Chaos Warriors up behind them. So this is after combat, and he kills 3 or 4 more Thunders. I don't kill any Knights. I'm actually rolling pretty good parry saves here, so they're okay. And here he kills maybe 1 more Iron Breaker, maybe not. But I do wound on him. I end up winning the combat. He doesn't break, but I am able to reform. Or maybe he wins. I don't quite recall. Doesn't much matter in the grand scheme of things. But I reform, so now I'm facing the front of him on for next. So here is the last picture. His general challenged my general. They bounced off each other. His juggernauts just opened up on the hammerers, and oh, I'm sorry, the Chimera killed my BSB last turn. This turn. That was actually super important because I'm on a leadership 10, stubborn, and I roll an 11, and they break, and he runs me down. And at this point, I've got nothing. He still has his whole army, so I surrendered at this point. The hammers were gone. The Iron Breakers were going to be gone in a turn. Those Thunderers aren't going to last, so yeah. Really no reason to keep it going with 3 gyrocopters being your only available offensive force. As the last of the dwarfs who had not managed to scatter from the field were captured, Angvar the Skull-Taker stalked through the field of bodies towards one still living amongst the hammerers, whom he and his Skull-Crusher guard had run down moments before. The dwarf groaned in pain as Angvar lifted him by the collar of his ornate armor, the armor of the Hammerfell prince. Prince Doran was barely conscious, having been knocked down and trampled under the heavy hoofs of the brass behemoths. His vision was blurred and his limbs weak, but not so far that he did not immediately begin to struggle to reach for a weapon, for he knew this enemy would gladly sacrifice him to the blood god, as had happened to the last king at the hand of Harek the Skull-Taker. As the dwarf struggled against his iron grip, Angvar chuckled. "Do not worry, young princeling. I am not here to kill you. I have a far better fate in mind." Angvar nodded just slightly towards where his warriors were gathering the captured dwarven soldiers. Today you have borne witness to the might the blood god offers. Now you will watch as we give thanks for the power that is possible through our offerings. Doran gritted his teeth and spat the blood that had welled up in his mouth into Angvar's armored face, who simply laughed and barked to his warriors. Begin the executions! Start with the eldest and collect the blood. With that order, Angvar dropped Prince Doran back to the ground as the other two warriors flanked him to hold him down on his knees. Vigrung the Cursed approached from behind with a grotesque metal contraption and began to affix it to the prince's head. Doran struggled, but the warriors clasped him about the neck to hold his head steady. The device clamped around his neck with a clang, and Doran tried to hold his eyes closed as metal claws extended towards them, pulling his eyelids open to force him to watch every moment of his kinsman's suffering. With that, the torture began. Doran watched his soldiers, his kinsmen, many of whom had seen the most years of any within the Hammerfell clan, executed, one by one, just as had happened in his father's time. History was repeating itself. The executions were steady, ritualistic. After each head was severed, the blood was gathered, and the warriors anointed themselves in it as they gave praise to the throne of brass and skulls. Doran's head was already swimming, but he could not look away, nor shut out the sounds of suffering. It was as if he were in a waking nightmare, one he could not stir himself from. As the last of his kinsmen were slain, one of the warriors approached with a black brass cauldron that was filled with the blood of the dwarves they had just killed. Doran furrowed his brow as best he could with the metal strains upon his face. Finally, Vigrun removed it, and as he threw it to the ground, he began to chant in the Norscan tongue. Doran could not feel the welling up of magic as he would have expected coming from the Snowmane shaman. Vigrun shouted a praise to the skies, the only word of which Doran could understand was the name of the Snowmane's patron, Khorne. With that, the warriors bearing the brass cauldron turned it over on Doran's head, anointing him with the blood of his fallen kinsman. Doran coughed and sputtered as he was covered in blood from head to toe. The ritual complete, Angvar stood before Doran again. The blood god accepts your offering. Now you only need to call him for the power to defeat me. With that, Doran's limbs were released, and the Snowmane withdrew from the field, leaving him there. Doran had just enough strength to hold him up, simply falling back to rest on his knees. He could barely move. All he could do was sit there amongst the bodies of the fallen, sit in the pool of blood around him, and stew in his hatred. So, there you have it. Pretty obvious victory for the Warriors of Chaos, and what very well may be one of the most brutal narrative wrap-ups we've had so far. I wish I could say that I enjoyed this game, but with everything that went wrong with the scenario, I really didn't have a chance. Maybe if I was playing another army that was a little faster, had a better movement, I could have compensated for what happened. Or if I was playing against an army that wasn't quite so fast, I could have had some opportunities there. But, frankly, I got, just by the way the scenario went, I lost this game before my first model even touched the table. And that sucks. I can't even give my normal wrap up of what I thought worked and didn't because of just the way this went down. I think meeting engagement normally isn't that bad, but I mean I had more than half of my army in reserves, and he didn't have any of his in reserve. So I was facing 2,500 points against 1,250 when we deployed. And on top of that, he got to watch me deploy what few of my units started on the board. So all in all, I just was unhappy with how that went. Tactically, I think I did about the best I could with what I had. Um, Being that I am too slow once deployment is over to pick my battles as a dwarf, I think the dwarves very much suffer from the scenarios where they have to deploy their entire army first. Now, after listening to this, 2 minutes of me BSing and whining about this, I'm sure you guys are thinking, well, why did you play that? If Because we actually play by the rulebook. When we do scenarios, we randomly roll the rulebook scenarios after lists have already been made. So it's not like we're setting things up. We also always randomly roll the terrain as per the rulebook. So there's a little less of that desire to be gamist about it and kind of build your specific army to what scenario you're going with, that sort of thing. Um, as far as where we go from here, I will be 100% honest. I don't see a way that the Hammerfells can continue on in the narrative after this point. Um, the only way that makes any sense for Doran, their king, is to take the Slayer's Oath, along with what little of the tribe was, or the clan wasn't being used in that game. Um, and frankly, I've got a new baby on the way. Uh, I don't have the money to buy these Slayers that I need to make a change to that kind of army. So one of the things I have been considering is selling my dwarves to our dwarf player and just having him absorb the Hammerfells into Clan Odhine and going from there. I don't like that idea. Well, it's not a bad idea, but it's I don't know. The only other idea I came up with is to start the next narrative with Doran waking up and having this all been a dream, like that season of Dallas. But I think that's pretty terrible, and it kind of goes against our unwritten rule in the campaign of whatever is written in the intro and outros goes. So I'm kind of painted in a corner here, but I'll see what I can do. If any of you guys have any thoughts, fluff reasons, ideas as to, after the horrors he's just witnessed and the near annihilation of his clan, including the only 20 guys to ever be Ironbreakers in the clan, please leave them in the comments below, because I definitely need some help figuring this out and figuring out where the Hammerfells go from here. So any help will be appreciated. So, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you saw, you're a sadist and a bad person. But if you did happen to enjoy it, no judgments will be taken of you. Feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And again, if you have any questions or suggestions, please include them in the comments below. I do stay on top of them, and particularly in this case where I will need all the help I can get, I'll definitely keep on top of them. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.